We'll call the meeting of the Finance and Human Resource Committee to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call.
Daniels.
Here.
Armos.
Here.
Carr, he's excused. Wolf Sorrell, he's excused. Mynell.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Soper.
Here.
All right. I want to welcome Stephanie to the committee. I don't know, how did you want to?
So if we just go around the room and just say our name and how long we've been with the committee.
Okay, well, Stephanie, we'll start with you. You want to, your name and how long you've been with our committee?
Yeah, Steph Daniels, and I've been with it for like a minute.
Okay.
Since I was sworn in last meeting.
Okay, Evan?
My name's Soper. I've been with the committee for about 6 months.
Okay. Brett?
I'm Brent Olson. I've been with the committee just over a year.
Steve?
Steve Mynell, been with the committee for a really long time, like what, 10 years. We were in the finance committee before that, before they had the HR. I mean, I was on the board for about 20 years, so thereabouts. Retired banker.
Okay. Oh, I'm Barb Erling and I've been on this committee since it was formed.
So there's a mix.
Committee. Both of them is when we added the human resource, but yeah. When I first, we didn't actually have a finance committee originally. So, okay. Public comments?
I do have a public comment online.
All right, please state your name and address.
Jim Pensonault, 5002 Arrow Street, Weston. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just had a couple of questions regarding items in the packet tonight and on the agenda. One, I see only select rates were increased for the 2026 billable rates. The village is completely at its levy limit and needs to go to referendum to fund the fire department. The cost of doing business for each department continues to increase, yet we do not adjust our billable rates to reflect as such. This is financially irresponsible. If we cannot afford our own operations, how can we continue to charge outside entities a rate which is not sustainable? I would ask this body reconsider an across-the-board increase for all outside services. 2, I commend the Public Works Director for attempting to save costs by modifying and or canceling uniform contract. However, I have several questions relating to this. Will shop rags, rugs, and any other service which is not uniforms also be discontinued? If so, what does that contract look like? Does it change the rest of the contract cost? And then will the dollars which are currently being used for t-shirts, hats, and other Weston apparel be removed from the budget as a cost savings, or are these dollars still going to be spent? In the spirit of being more cost efficient, the bulk buy of Weston apparel should still continue, and each employee should be given a certain number of shirts or hats annually from village stock. Then that employee wouldn't necessarily need $600 to buy shirts and hats if they were provided by the department, or completely eliminate the practice of the village buying shirts and hats and other apparel and allow employees to utilize their clothing allowance for such things. The $100,000 CIP expenditure for fire and police vehicles, is this specifically for fire and not for police? If it is, we should call it as such. I seem to remember Mountain Bay Metro has their own capital expense line for purchasing cars. Please clarify. On a similar note, the safety building needs to be retitled as Safer Station 2. The police department has not operated out of there for over a year and a half, and expenditures are not police related. While the fire department is still public safety, the building is being utilized for fire exclusively and no longer used as a joint public safety venture for police and fire. I see nowhere on the agenda tonight where any attempt is to discuss the budget. I remember just a meeting or two ago, Mr. Olson specifically asked that we start talking about planning for expenditures over the course of the whole year and not just in one budget meeting. Finally, $100,000 for repairing or replacing the lights on the pedestrian bridge is ridiculous. We cannot afford to fund the fire department, yet replace the lights on a bridge which is seldom used, if at all, during the hours of darkness. It's just outright irresponsible. The lighting is only 15 years old, and if it is in need of replacement already, it was definitely poorly engineered and or outfitted from the start. I have no issue moving that $100,000 to actual street repairs, but we simply cannot spend this type of money on lights for a path which isn't regularly used in the dark. If you do the math on that, it's $6,700 per year over 15 years, except the lights failed 5 years ago. So it's over $10,000 a year plus utilities, so closer to $11,000 a year or $900 a month just to light a path that no one uses at night. Sounds like a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, moving on. Minutes from previous meeting, January 19th, 2026. What is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Brent. Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
By Stephanie.
First one.
On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Acknowledge work products transmittals. January budget status report. Any comments or questions? You want to do these all together or one at a time?
Them all together.
Okay, we'll do them together. Okay, item 6, TIF 1 and TIF 2, detail reports for January. Any questions or concerns? Item 7, legal details for January. Any questions or concerns? Okay, if we have none, I would like a motion to acknowledge work products transmittals 5, 6, and 7. What? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it, but I do have questions also.
Okay, motion by Steve. Second?
Second.
Evan? On the question, Steve.
This is your new format that you're using, you indicated?
That's what we're trying out for this time, yes. Looking for some feedback, but yeah.
I was surprised, to be honest with you. There's a lot of details on there, and I don't know if there's a summary report that
That's what we've always prepared, was a summary report.
Okay.
so.
Because I get lost in some of the details. I mean, I think there was some of the, what was it? The water utility or sewer utility and the, stormwater sewer utility. Looking at all of that stuff, it appears like our expenditures are, less than what we were receiving or allocated, but there's no explanation of, are we making money on our water utility or not? You know what I'm saying? It just gives a funny impression because there's no narrative as far as explaining why it's being shown that way. And I know you're doing it on a monthly basis, but I'm just curious as to, is there a different format or different information that could be submitted with it or?
I was looking, so I did provide a little bit of a summary. Right now, it's kind of early to really give much of an overview of the other funds much. I think we'll be able to talk more about them maybe in the next. I guess what you're seeing is we got a lot of the fixed charges are up front. That might be part of why the numbers are a little funny.
I mean, I sit on the committee and I was questioning how that would be viewed. And if it's published out on our website, how's anybody else gonna be looking at saying, are my water utility expenses too high if they're making money on us? And that's not the case, I don't think. But I'm just wondering if it should be.
We will get a narrative together.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to like
So
page.
this is 40,000 only.
Yeah, if you go to page
Well, just that was just-
66,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, what Jessica and I stare at on a regular basis. There is kind of the net revenue line that kind of shows where we're at year to date. But I
I
guess,
thought
yeah.
I'd show out there and see what everyone thought. A lot of times I get a lot of people that want more. And then there's those that just want a quick little summary, so. We just threw that out there and we will come back with a little bit more information next month.
Okay. Any other questions, Steve?
No.
Okay.
Not to be the exact opposite, but I actually really liked it. I presume it takes a lot less time to run this report than it did putting it together by hand, correct?
It takes a little bit less time. We have an Excel program that pulls all these numbers into we have a formula where it summarizes it, so it doesn't take that much effort. But I really thought to throw it out there, because sometimes people wonder what is in that number that we're showing, right?
Right.
This was a great example. Yeah, I did only summarize the general fund. I guess that's where next month, if I throw a few more tables in there summarizing the other funds, I think that might meet both people's needs of wanting a summary and then also showing the details.
Yeah.
I like the page where it has monthly reports and you can click on each one individually. Because I think before you have 60 pages of this, let's be honest, to actually scroll through each and every one of those 60 pages to really try to take in what's on them. But like if I have a question about one specific budget, I can just click on it and look at it, which I think for me is a lot more efficient and easier to find things. So I like it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of information there, but I kind of, you wonder sometimes, what, I don't want to say it, you have $100,000 expenditure for what, it's kind of.
This is the way we budget. We budget by line item, and part of it, in the past, we kind of discussed combining some items to make it so there's not so much detail out there.
Right.
But detail is really nice when it comes to budgeting. Say, for example, the electric rates are going up and you only have a utility line to really pick that apart and decipher how much is that really going to affect me. We have no problem because we have water, sewer, and gas and electricity. We have utilities for water, sewer, storm, but then we also have gas and electric separate. So when we go to budget in that year, we can really see the impact of that increase of if the WPS were just to increase electricity by 50% or whatever.
So anybody else, Deb?
I really like it. It's a lot easier for me to go through.
It's a lot. I looked at it, I was like, whoa, I just read every one of these pages. This is crazy. But I do think the graphs at the very beginning were really helpful to pull out kind of maybe what you wanted. If there were more,
Yeah,
that
for
would
the
be,
other funds.
I think, helpful.
No, like you said, and if you got your individual kind of report, you click if you got a question,
Yeah.
you can go back. Yeah, I don't think any of us, well, I shouldn't say, I'll speak for
Some
myself.
people.
I will summarize through it, but I don't necessarily, and then if something catches my eye,
Sure.
then I look, but it's nice to be able to look at it and say, oh, okay, that's, but on utilities, isn't there that we have to make like a 20% profit or something, or isn't that Public Service Commission?
Well, the PSC, during your rate increase, they make sure that your rate of return is at a certain point, but I don't think it's 20. We
I
do
think
not.
last time it was maybe 8%.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
think-
we're not there. I think if we were to go to the PSC, they would probably allow us another rate increase. We'll have to see going forward after the PFAS money comes in, and then we have our new projects coming forward. We'll have to see where our rate of return ends up.
Yeah, because I thought PFC said that we had to.
We do regulate our rates, but only when you go to them for a rate increase will they tell you where you should be. But they if the municipality says no, they don't necessarily make you.
As long as you're positive cash flowing, if you keep showing a negative rate of return, I believe it's 3 years in a row, they will force you to raise your rate.
Okay.
So if you are losing money for 3 consecutive years, the PSC will say you have to change your rates.
Well, I think you added 3 things for later in the meeting. You're gonna have, I guess, 3 projects that are being added. I remember right,
Oh, for the kids.
for,
Yeah.
for Rothschild or whatever.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then why wouldn't we increase our, if you get blindsided, I think one was on $11 and I can't remember what the other ones were off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
or a couple $100,000. My point is that why wouldn't we get the rate increase in anticipation of that?
We haven't done the borrowing yet. A lot of times when we go for the borrowing, we do an analysis of our future cash flows. We can see if we do need a rate increase. Right now, we can absorb some of that stuff with the growth that we've had, the new customers, new houses, and the additional revenue from that, we're able to absorb it. So we'll have to see after we do the borrowing and the finalize the projects to see if we need to go to the PSC for a rate increase.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I know we've talked about, primarily for sewer utility, but probably for all the utilities. Just reviewing the rates after, water last had an increase, I believe, in 2024. Sewer had a 2025 rate increase. So we, generally want to check that after all costs are accounted for and projects are finalized so that we can kind of see where we're at. We've also discussed in the past having a fund balance policy. Sometimes our utilities have built up a pretty good fund balance and then we haven't had to borrow for capital projects in the future. Just, I think where some of these smaller Rothschild projects, or $100,000 projects, we have adequate fund balance to be able to pay for that with, cash on hand versus having to borrow for it. So, those are all good questions and things that, we definitely monitor and try to keep an eye on so that, we're not over increasing our rates, but at the same time, make sure we're covering our costs.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I remembered to get the motion. When we get into those discussions, you kind of
Just forgot there was a motion on.
yeah. Educational presentation reports, anything anybody add or whatever? Old business, we had none. New business. Discussion and or action on 2026 billable rates.
The rates are actually based off actual wages and benefits. And so that's how that was determined. And then we add 5% for the position, pulls out the fringes and benefits. One of the reasons why we didn't see an increase in our rates is probably because our health insurance went down. So with that decrease, even though our wages did go up 2%, that resulted in a non-increase for our billable rates. Plus they're rounded, correct?
Okay, so the fact that we had wage increases, it was offset by the insurance
health
rates. Okay,
And
and
then I
then
guess-
we figure a percentage, so.
Yeah, and similarly, I guess for the public works side of things, the rate we charge is our highest costing employee. So it's not necessarily the person who goes and responds to the event, it's just the highest cost employee that possibly could be responding to that event in the town or whatever it may be. So, just looking back, we did make, we billed the town a little over $92,000 in 2025. So, that is essentially a full-time employee for us. And, in the past, the town has, kind of discussed, do they need to, I think they've entertained looking at hiring their own person full-time and doing some of that work. So I think, part of that too is balancing. If we start overcharging them, they're going to say, okay, we don't need your service anymore. And now we're trying to figure out how do we pay for an employee who, realistically doesn't spend a full year working for the town. They're spending some weekends here and there, or, a day, replacing a culvert. So, and then we do increase the equipment rates annually by the DOT costs that come out in January. And that accounts for the equipment's fuel and maintenance kind of costs as well.
Okay, but we aren't losing money by this contract.
No.
And we are not subsidizing the town.
No,
They pay the cost.
Yeah,
I know
they-
that question has come up before.
they pay that full cost. I don't have the 2025 budget year end to date, but like I said, we billed them for 92,000. I can guarantee you, we spent our own internal cost was, much less than that.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't, I figured we were okay, but thought well, I'd ask. All right, so, any other questions or comments?
A couple, they actually, I said a couple of them already. One of them was most expensive employee used for the rate. I know Michael said they use that. We use the most expensive employee in every department to determine that rate.
Yes.
And then I'm assuming the ones, we have 5 on here that got the $5 raise, is that because we gave the COLA and the insurance, they didn't balance out like the rest of them, or why did we raise some of them?
Because
Which
they're
one is-
probably on the verge of rounding up or rounding down.
So just keeping up. And do we actually use all the, short of I'm assuming Public Works is probably the number one that we use, do we actually get a lot of requests? We bill out most of these departments, hardly ever, if at all.
Planning, when they do the work for the town, will build that out.
Okay.
Building inspection, we have built out in the past, but not recently. Other than that, I don't think the other departments we bill out.
Yeah, when Cronenwetter wasn't able to keep a public works director, we would review some of their site plans and engineering projects for them. So we would bill them for engineering, but that's probably been
It's been a
a
while.
couple of years now.
Who does the town use if we're not billing them for inspections? Who's the town using?
The inspections are a different agreement.
The inspections are slightly different because we do all of their permitting. So if you're in the extraterritorial zoning, that's really our zoning, and that was that agreement because of our
Right.
incorporation. So we keep the fees for, if you built a new house, we keep those fees and that offsets that cost.
Okay.
Just like it would for if you were a village resident and you paid the fees for a new home.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we had a motion and a second, I believe. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We
Okay.
didn't have a motion.
Yeah, we did not have a motion.
Oh, we didn't, see?
I thought Steve, oh, that was the last one.
That was, okay, we got into talking and.
So I'll make the motion, we just.
Okay, it says motion by Brent and second by Steve. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. See, I had it crossed off. Discussion and or action on uniform rental contract. Okay.
Yeah, so our 3-year uniform rental agreement with Cintas is coming due in August this year. I guess in talking with the kind of staff, our primary use of it is for, I guess, pants, shorts, that nature. Not a lot of people still get the work shirts. Our mechanics that get coveralls. We do not have rugs or anything like that under the rental agreement. We do have shop rags, but just looking that up quick, we pay about $10 a week for shop rags. I think we can, for $40 a month, we can pay for shop rags and save money, or break even at what we're at, and kind of either get disposable rags, which I know our mechanic staff has moved to a lot of those where, they're kind of one-time use, kind of paper, heavier duty paper. Cause if we get too much grease in on the rags, they bill us for them as full cost anyways, cause we contaminate them. So, I guess realistically I think the rags is probably a service we don't need, anymore. And then when it comes to the, we do bulk item purchase, the t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats. That doesn't come out of this uniform rental for the employees. That's a separate purchase amount in the budget. So realistically, this $300 increase would would be primarily for the employees to purchase their jeans, their cargo pants, kind of their work pants that they want to use. You know, a lot of our employees do already take their clothes home and wash it themselves, so, you know, we're not even necessarily getting the benefit of the laundry service that comes with it. If anything, that starts to become an issue, because if a piece of laundry doesn't show up once a month, then they start looking to charge us for it because it's considered a lost item. So then we're making sure employees are grabbing that pair of pants that they didn't get submitted, you know, in the last month back into the laundry so that it can be deemed as, you know, in the rotation still, and it's not lost. A lot of that has just started to become a lot more of a administrative headache, looking at the invoice weekly and tracking down which employee has pants that maybe are considered lost, and then fight, you know, to a certain extent fighting with the company over, no, these were turned in this week, you know, shouldn't have been on here. And
Still doing that.
you know, so we do give the $300, which staff primarily uses for their steel toe boots, winter boots, sometimes the winter coveralls. So I guess the proposal is to just get rid of the rental service, increase their reimbursement to $600, and it's for work-related clothing. And
How much was the cost of the contract?
when I break it out, it's about $300 an employee. So
For every employee or just the employees that are in the water utility, sewer utility?
yeah, for the employees that currently get the uniform service, so it's the public works, utility, parks, and then our building inspectors are part of that as well.
How many total bodies is that?
What was that?
How many total bodies is that, you know, top of your head?
13, 7, 2, and 4.
15, 18, 22?
Is that full-time and part-time or just full-time?
Just full-time. It's just the full-time employees that get that benefit.
So those are the same employees that would receive the $600?
Correct, yeah.
600 across the board?
No, so that'd be those employees that get the $600. So like I don't get reimbursed for anything I purchase for myself. I buy that. So like if I have boots or, you know, our other engineer or utility superintendents, they're not, it's just the employees listed here. So our, essentially the hourly staff that's out doing that work.
I was a little high. I put you in the 13, so
Okay.
slightly less.
Yeah, no, it's 10 plus 5 plus 3, 2, 10, 5, 15, 18. So it's like, yeah, it's like 20.
So for them to get reimbursed, do they have to have, I mean, I can remember years back that a different department, but where it was misused in that some of the stuff they bought was more for their own personal use rather than.
Yeah, no, we turn in receipts and, you know,
Right, but I mean,
yeah, it has to be work related. I've denied running shoes that got asked for reimbursement once. I'm like, you don't really use your running shoes for work here, so.
I mean, or what type of shirts or pant, I mean, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they're buying jeans, I figured we'd put some caveats on what you can wear to work, right? Like, you know, you're not buying the pre-ripped jeans. You should have, you know, clean, you know, still appearance. You know, probably some colors, you know, whether it's khaki and navy, would allow for, you know, black, navy, khaki is the colors you can wear. You know, we still want staff to look uniform out there and not, you know, people wearing plaid shorts or something like that walking around. So, you know, it's really just to try to somewhat streamline. We do have some staff who, you know, there was a cargo pants style that used to be offered. The Cintas changed their vendor, so they no longer offer that style. So now the new pants that come in, they're not as comfortable for the employee because the pocket is bigger. So now when they put their, tools in their pocket, it hits their knee. There's just some nuances there where, I want the guys to be comfortable while they're doing their work and not feel stuck. Like if this is what I'm wearing.
It's also not, it's very gender specific. We don't have all males on the staff, and this would also allow them to get things that they feel comfortable in because Cintas is more based in that sizing.
Correct, yeah, we do have two female staff members that would be in this group as well. So.
As I
And
say, finance has been pushing this for a while because Cintas is requires a lot of work for our staff to chase after Public Works, not just them, but also calling Cintas, trying to get these charges removed that shouldn't be there. So we've been trying to get rid of Cintas for a while. So we're really excited to have that opportunity.
You'll see the clothing and equipment policy back. If this would be approved, this gives us the ability to give notice to Cintas, but you would see the clothing and equipment piece back because we'd have to make edits to that for the employee handbook.
Right, because I guess my concern would be that it has something in there that it's going to be work clothing. Not,
yeah, well, yeah, and that's where, like, I think I put in my RFC, you know, I'd rewrite that where currently it says, you know, this is for items such as jackets, bib overalls, insulated overalls,
right.
boots, hats, gloves, you know, if we say work-related clothing, you know, yeah, I'm not approving, you know, tank tops or, you know, a suit or something like that for somebody who's out in the street. It's, you know, it's your workwear. It's
Kind of a dress shirt.
yeah, you know, it's the Carhartts, the Dickies,
Yeah.
the pants the guys want to be wearing out there.
Yeah, I mean, something that's durable.
Correct, yeah.
So that'll come back in as part of this, that you're gonna say Dickies, Carhartts, whatever.
I mean, I don't know if you want to put brands in there because you never know what new brand comes out and all of a sudden, you know, it's not in there. I guess work-related clothing, and I guess you guys have to trust that staff is going to administer it and make sure that, you know, people are buying stuff that is work-related.
I think realistically, $600 isn't gonna get you very far anyway. A steel-toe boot is probably $150 alone.
Yeah, a lot of them are about $200.
Yeah, so you're eating up most of your costs there to buy another pair of bibs, another pair of maybe 2 jeans. You've spent your $600. So they're gonna buy their own clothes anyway. So this probably just takes a little bit off of what they're probably needing to spend. To me, this seems the most realistic option to find things that actually works for everybody universally rather than just the male probably in the work department. So I think this seems more realistic.
Is this annual too, 600?
Yeah, so it's annually. So, and that's the other thing. Some people, we currently have the $300. Some people will spend $150, and when January 1 rolls around, if they didn't spend their other $150, they don't get it and they're back to, you know, zero. So, you know, at the same time, we now know there's a cap there. This is the maximum amount of money that we're going to spend versus being in, you know, a uniform contract. And all of a sudden they go, oh, you lost these 3 pairs of pants and those are $80 a piece. And now, you know, owe us another $240. And you're like, oh, you know,
Okay,
that's.
now explain to me though, that now we have the clothing allowance and everything. What about like you were talking about, they like wearing the t-shirts?
Yep.
Is that part of this or that's extra? Why?
So, because that's how our budget is set up. I'll try to, if you give me a second, I can
Sure.
show you the pages to look at.
Well, I see
back
it
in the
was in there
budget.
at one point, but I don't recall. And that was why my question was, you know, we're paying for their,
Okay, so if you go to page 26 of the packet.
And I have it up on the screen. I can make it bigger.
thank you.
So, the last, or not the last 3, but, so the 10-03-533-10-162 item is the uniform rental, portion of the budget. And then if you go to kind of the bottom of that page, you hit the 346s. The 346 is the uniform allowance section of the budget. So that's where everybody's at $300. So that 346 generic of 000 for $4,500, that is the t-shirts, hats, number. So,
Is that just public work or is that everybody?
that's just this is just the public works department. So it's not everybody. This is probably 9 of the employees represented here, if you count them, whatever number that ends up being.
It's not unlimited. I mean, there's some controls to that. We do, if someone, this isn't the utility, this is public works, but if someone had an accident in utility and that should really be disposed of, we would give them a new one, but it's not like it's unlimited through the year.
Well, I was
Correct.
just gonna say, how many of these do they get a year?
I mean, really, the majority is for new employees. We have existing employees that are like, I don't need a sweatshirt this year because I've got already my 5 and I don't need any more. So again, I don't want to phrase it. It's making sure that they have the clothing they need. And then after they've been here 2-3 years, it's really not a lot of new stuff. I mean, hats get worn out pretty frequently. Just because they get sweaty, they get, kind of gross looking, but for the
I
most
guess,
part,
yeah, the hats and that I
You know, and
can
the-
see, but I'm looking at, the t-shirts, and you're spending 4,500.
so that's for all other clothing. So that's like if we have a new employee, we do well, that's probably under safety where we would provide them with the safety vest, the glasses, the winter jacket, rain jacket. And it's not, and that's the max again. I don't know what we spent in 2025 off the top of my head, but we don't necessarily spend the whole amount. It's just there in case we need to buy it. I guess I don't know how to phrase that any differently. It's a budget item that we can spend up to, not necessarily what we spend every year.
Well, I'm just kind of looking at, we're gonna provide $600 for them for their clothing allowance. And
We already do.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. And that now, well, I guess I often kind of wondered about, well, were these t-shirts and all that part of their clothing allowance, but it's technically not.
The other piece of
No.
it is the clothing pieces that we buy all say Weston, similar to what Michael has on. I mean, when they buy the pieces with their clothing allowance, those are things that they could take with them, but they're not logoed, they're not lettered. So I
Right,
think a piece of it is that makes us all look similar because we're all reflecting.
right, right.
And it wouldn't be realistic to say, use your $600 and also get this embroidered or screen printed or, whatever you buy. And I'm thinking your allowance is mostly for the outer bottom half of your body, right? Your t-shirt seems pretty reasonable to supply a t-shirt. There's a lot of companies I think that do supply a couple shirts when you first get hired. I think $4,500 when I look at this is cheap compared to what I spend on clothing for like our childcare staff.
yeah, I mean, I didn't find the December budget status, but the November budget status showed that we spent 1,300 of that 4,500 in 2025.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, it's a number we can spend up to, but it's not that we deplete it every year.
And shirts are fairly cheap. I don't know what you're getting per shirt. It's like $4 potentially, right? Like, so it's a lot of shirts.
Yeah, and
Probably
then
that you're
with the
buying
screen
some
print,
shirts.
it might be 5 or something like
Yeah, so
that.
you're getting a ton of product for $4,500 if you ever were to probably spend that exact amount.
And there was a misprint, I think that was in 2024. So we ended up getting a boatload of t-shirts now that we then got re-embroidered and they're essentially free. So we have a pretty good stockpile.
Okay, all right, just a question. Okay, any other questions, concerns?
Few things.
Okay.
What is the date? Do we have a date notice? We have to give some test notice by, like, is there a date we're obligated to, or we just need to give them notice at some point if we don't want to?
I don't know if there's a minimum of the notice, but we would, if this would be approved this evening, we'd give them notice right away.
Yeah, there was I should have put the contract in there. There was a clause, so if we ended it early, we still owed like 10 weeks of, the base rental. So I guess I'd probably just go until August, but I don't think there was necessarily like a 90-day notice or anything like that.
Okay. I'm doing math, so this is dangerous. Jessica, tell me if I'm wrong. So 22 full-timers times an additional 300 would be $6,600. And we already do 300 apiece. So we're looking at 6,600 times 2, plus the 4,500 for t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, safety equipment, jackets. So I guess when I look at this, I look at that as $17,700 we're spending on outfitting people, which seems like a little bit bigger number than just $300 a person. But I also admit, like, I don't have a lot of context to know what is standard in the Department of Public Works kind of world with municipalities. I can draw on my 20 years in the municipality where I was issued when I started several $1,000s of equipment. And I was given $600 a year to maintain that, but that was shirts, pants, boots, every single piece of gear that we have. To me, $600 seems a little bit high just for the bottom half of their body, pants and boots. I know boots are expensive. I wore $200 boots every day as well. I would be a big fan of like a new hire giving them $600 because there's a whole lot more for them to purchase. But I think for two reasons, that and also the fact that historically it's not being used, I think we stay at the $300 a person as it is right now. And at the end of the year, if that's all being used and we're finding employees have needs, we can always readdress it. But I mean, to me, this looks like a place where we could save $6,600 and savings are rare. I mean, I'm all for giving our employees everything that they need, but at the same time, like, you know, $17,700 to outfit employees, like, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I guess I'd like to see where you went through that. I guess I'm seeing this as a net zero, if anything, a slight savings to the budget. You know, and the people that are wearing their pants right now, that are wearing all Cintas apparel, they're at zero. So if all of a sudden we say, hey, guess what? You got to go buy all your own clothes. That's not going to be a great morale thing because now they're having to pick up, you know, $400 or $500 in pants so that they can come to work the next week with their clothing. You know, I understand what you're saying, and I have no problem. You know, I guess we can revisit this next month if you want to provide a little more, but I guess I was looking at this as it's a net zero change to the budget. If anything, a slight decrease. Just getting rid of some of the Cintas fees and charges that we're currently paying.
And I understand what you're saying, like 100% is a savings, and getting rid of Cintas sounds like it's the right choice for us. We just don't have the volume that makes sense. I agree with that. I just, you know, there's never many opportunities where we could save money. I think this is one where we could at least look at it. And I guess my math was coming from 22 times 300 is 6,600, and we're already giving 300, so that's 6,600 times 2. Plus the $4,500 for all the other stuff, that's $17,700 unless I'm.
Yeah,
way off
I
on
guess
that
the,
math.
like I said, in 2025, we spent 1,300 of that 4,500.
And I guess because of that, that's why I think we stick with the 300 we're at and see where we're at the end of the year. I mean,
But
yeah.
the 4,500 is what we use to buy the tops, I guess, for the employees.
Yeah.
And it's, so if we're taking away the bottoms and we're not giving them any money to reimburse and to
Well,
get
we're
back.
still giving them the $300 they have right now.
But
I think it's Cintas, right? I think.
yeah, but
you
we're
can't do
taking away
both.
that, you can't take away both, because if we give them the 300 now that they're already using to buy their, you know, one pair of boots, and that maybe gets them one pair of jeans.
Mhm.
Now I mean, they're gonna need more than one pair of jeans maybe they can get 2 pairs of jeans, but throughout the whole year, you know, takes one hydraulic leak or a chlorine spill at a well, and now they're out a pair of pants and.
Well, I mean, if I'm assuming what our policy says, I guess maybe we should make assumptions, but like if it gets damaged or destroyed while they're doing their job, that would be on the village to replace, correct?
We don't have that right now because it goes to Cintas and we get a new pair of pants.
And maybe that's something we need to look at with the equipment change. I mean, I think it's reasonable, like, if your clothing's destroyed doing your job for us, like, and it's a reasonable thing that happened, I think we should be covering that cost. Again, it's a different perspective, like, I'd like to know, I guess, what other municipalities do for clothing reimbursement. Because again, like I said, I only can give it the historical context that I have. And like, I would relatively comfortably say, like, to maintain everything that I had to have all those years was well more money than that. And I was still only getting $600 a year to maintain it. So I guess I think there's a balance here between like we don't have to outfit our employees from head to toe. I think we need to make, you know, good efforts to help them get what they need to do to be successful, but I just don't know that we need to be responsible for every item of clothing that they wear when they're at work.
I mean, a lot of this stemmed from probably 7-8 years ago. We didn't have a requirement, or we didn't provide a lot of hats and, you know, even T-shirts. I mean, we had employees walking around that didn't have anything that said Village of Weston on them. So it almost became I guess a safety issue perhaps for them if they're out doing their, you know, they're trying to do something, they're meeting with a resident and, you know, nowadays, if you don't have something that identifies who you are, it's kind of a, you know, why are you on my property? What are you doing type of thing. So
Agreed.
making sure that, you know, our utility guys, when they walk up to a house to go change a meter, you know, they've got a van that says Village of Weston, they've got a shirt that says Village of Weston, they have a hat that says Village of Weston. You know, it's very much known that that's who they are and that's why they're here. They're not walking up with a Green Bay Packers shirt and a John Deere hat saying, hey, I need to get in your house.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we were at. So, you know, part of this was trying to make it so everybody was uniform and looking the same.
And I agree with you totally on that. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting we do anything with the 4,500. I'm not suggesting we do anything with the 300 they're getting now. But if we take away that additional 6,600, we're still spending right now without the Cintas contract and without the additional $300, we're looking at $11,100, which is still quite a big number to outfit employees. So I guess there's not a lot of opportunities where we can have a savings without cutting something significant. And I feel like since, again, we're not using it, it sounds like.
Well,
Like, I guess let's use it and exceed it, and then we can look at raising it, but to raise it without actually having a purpose where we're using it consistently, and I realize we're getting rid of Cintas, like.
I would say 90% of our employees use the full 300, you know, and some of them will spend, you know, there's a lot of times where we get the check, you know, the request, the receipt, and it's for $330. Well, they get 300 back out of the 330 they spent. So I guess maybe when I say not everybody uses it, but 90% of them do use their full 300. And then we also, out of this, there'd be at least 5-6 employees that are paid out of the utilities. So when we talk about savings, I guess, you know, it's some is in the general fund, some's in the water utility, some's in the sewer utility. So I guess we got to be somewhat cognizant of that too, is it's not all general tax dollars. I mean, money is money. Yes, somebody paid it, but they are different funds, they are different sources. I don't know.
And it's not either or, right?
Yeah.
We either get rid of Cintas and have to somehow supply them with more money because others have to come out of their own pocket, right? We can't do.
Or
keep
if you
getting
say get rid of
right?
Cintas,
We might turn over staff because they're like, now I have to buy all of my own clothes for this one department that was supplying it at one point.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm hiking and going somewhere else potentially. So I guess I think we have to have some compromise if we're getting rid of Cintas. If that's the goal that we're moving to, we can't do nothing, I don't think, because people are using Cintas currently.
Yes,
And maybe
again,
bottomless maybe.
you know, maybe there's 1 or 2 employees that aren't utilizing it to its full extent, but you know, say 85 to 90% of our employees are turning in their $300. They are, you know, wearing their, you know, 9-10 pairs of pants and rotating those through. They just might not be getting washed every week by Cintas. They're just taking them home and washing them on their own, but I don't want to, I guess to Stephanie's point, we already are providing this service. If we remove the service, I still want them to be able to have the ability to not feel like we took away a benefit to them.
Because it's not, the way you're looking at it is
Yeah.
correct. It's not gonna cost us more. It's a break even. We're one thing for another. We're just giving the autonomy to our staff to do what they think is probably more appropriate for them in their personal, you know, wear. To me, it
If
seems
it
like a
was
morale boost for sure.
If it's $600 for staff, how many people are actually under the general funds and how much are under, or who's under the utilities?
We have at least 5 under the utilities. I'm not sure if we break anybody else out.
We break some in public works down a little bit too, so we'd have to bring that back to get a precise number, what would be general.
But it's still the taxpayers are paying it.
It is.
But the other, if it's.
And I guess my point is we already have,
Utilities, I mean, to me,
Utilities are users,
right.
so if the people are using more water are paying more. And I can understand why it's done that way, but I'm looking at the actual tax benefit or whatever, tax expense, what would it be?
And employees in the job. Well, then there's 3.
there's 10 in public works, there's probably 3 in parks and 2.5 or 3 in building inspections.
But are the all 10 in public works 100% general fund?
That's how their uniforms are.
Oh, how their uniform
Allocated, yeah.
portion is, okay.
So it was $600 for those 16 people, whatever, that comes to $9,600. Is that correct?
Yeah. If that's the math, yeah. Yeah, it'd be $600 per employee. I guess that, again, that's our cap, right? Like that's the max amount. And if they don't reimburse it all, they don't reimburse it all, and
Where the contract could get.
whereas the contract
more,
can change
there's no
annually.
cap on the contract.
Yeah,
So probably in the long run, it's probably gonna save us money.
yeah.
Plus the savings of the finance tracking this down and trying to get the receipts and all this would be an easier tool for finance. This would also, we haven't even figured in the additional staff cost savings.
And when we get new staff, which unfortunately we seem to not be able to keep a full staff right now, there is then setup charges and things like that for new employees that, you know, if a new employee comes here and they don't submit I guess a reimbursement request, or maybe we have a limit on that where if, you know, you get phased in, you know, you can't just work here for a day and then say, hey, I bought new boots last night. Here's my receipt. Unless they truly needed boots. You know, maybe there's ways we can work that in, but you know, that is something too, where we have, as staff turnover occurs, there's the setup charges, there's the new account or new person account, and there's all these little fees that we end up paying for a new person as they get outfitted. I guess realistically, we're bringing this proposal to save us money from what we're currently doing.
Yeah, I would say the proposal potentially for like a 90-day, if you quit within 90 days, anything you've reimbursed gets taken out of your last paycheck or
Yeah.
whatever the setup costs are, seems to probably be a safe bet. And I do understand what you're saying, but could there be, if you're new, you get the full 600. If you've been here after 5 years, maybe you get 500 because you probably have new boots and you may don't need as many equipment. I don't know what the longest tenure employee we have, if it's 20 years, you know, do they still need the full amount because they have lots of clothes? But yeah, I think it's a good option to go a route that's not contract setted, right? It looks like a lot of work on their end. And there's probably going to be some morale put to this. Like if we give you the ability to buy your own stuff that you're comfortable in, especially if you're saying it's not very it's gender specific.
Yeah.
We're going into a route that we need to start thinking about that's the realistic vision of our world. Seems like a smart play.
Yeah.
So I mean, are we primarily using Cintas for pants?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the mechanics get coveralls, they have some, you know, our inspectors, they do have button-down work shirts, kind of like this, that they get. So, you know, we have a couple of our older employees that do still have the work shirt like this, and then they do provide a kind of a spring fall jacket as well that staff utilizes. So there's it's not a heavy winter jacket, but it's kind of like I'd say, yeah, kind of like a spring. One version is like a soft shell, kind of like what you consider like a North Face kind of fleece looking jacket, and the other one is more of a kind of a Carhartt a lighter Carhartt jacket that they wear. So those are also items that currently are provided besides just the pants.
And like I said, I mean, I think I understand all the points. I'm just trying to offer a different perspective here. Like, I mean, we're not taking away their clothing. We're still giving them t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, safety equipment, jackets. We're providing them $300, which the one thing you said I will strongly disagree with is we shouldn't be buying people 9 to 10 pairs of pants to do their job. Like that's an unreasonable amount of pants.
No, so like the way the rental contract is set up, because they take the clothing,
So you're saying they have that many because
they have that many because they turn in their
Got it.
clothing on Thursday. It gets taken away and it's brought back the next Thursday. So if they only had 5 pairs of pants, or they would turn in their 5 pairs of pants and then they have nothing to wear for a week before they were brought back. So that's why,
That's what the night tech.
that's why they
That makes
have
sense.
that number. So that when they turn in their dirty clothes, they have something clean to wear for the next week. Which is also why some guys just take their pants home, because then, you know, they can wash them at home and they have them. They're not waiting a week for their clothing to return. And we get charged, I don't know if it's $1 a week or something like that.
For the cleaning.
But that 300 is the cleaning, I mean, it's that whatever includes the washing and the 9 pairs of pants.
Correct, yeah.
Turnover. I guess I would prefer something, not the 300, even if it was 200. To me, with the 300 thrown in, it still would provide them with enough blue jeans. We're providing the t-shirts.
Well, jeans are $70. I mean, I was just doing some
Well-
math and they can get 4 pairs of jeans, 1 pair of boots and the bibs and they're spent. Even, if that's at $600. So even right now, our staff could get 4 pairs of jeans. That's it. That's all they're gonna buy with, and they're not buying cheap jeans. They're gonna have to buy some probably nice durable jeans, Carhartt specifically, $70. Like these things are expensive. I think some people are actually probably gonna get maybe shafted a little bit because if they're getting 10 pairs of pants, they're gonna go down to 4 that they're gonna buy with their own this money. So
Yeah.
those people who maybe are really taking advantage of Cintas maybe aren't gonna, maybe like, dang, I'm losing my 10 pairs of pants, but it's probably not, financially sound for us either, so.
Well, they can go to Fleet, then they aren't $70 I used to.
Well, so the 70 is like, if you want the lined winter jeans, they are $70 from Fleet. That I did look those up last week. So even if they were say $40, if you want 5 pairs, that's $200.
So you're not talking, when you're saying winter clothing, you're not talking about the blue jeans, you're talking jackets or what?
Yeah, like I said, bibs, when they're out there on a water main break at -20-degree weather, we want to just make sure that, they have it. And some guys have bibs that they buy 1 pair and it's good for 6 years and they don't buy it again.
Right.
But then they, get, a new pair of winter boots. A lot of guys have a pair of summer boots and a pair of winter boots.
Right. Well, boots I know take a lot and we've had that. Although our prices have gone up considerably. My husband was a maintenance person and I know how many pairs of blue jeans he went through and it wasn't that many in a year. I mean, if you get a good pair of blue jeans, unless you really damage them, and then like you, I agree, then we should reimburse them for it.
Yeah.
But I guess I agree we need to get out of this contract. But I guess I'm kind of leaning towards not quite the $300 wasn't just for the clothes, it was for the washing, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's.
So that's what we're paying Cintas for, but if we have our employees buy their own clothes, they are washing it. So we are paying for the washing service too, technically, because our staff will be laundering their own.
Well, right, and one of the other things you could do is, and that's what the mill did after a while, because the clothes got pretty dirty, they provided a washer and dryer.
Yeah, so I mean, we could,
You want to provide washing and drying on site now?
we can do that. I mean, we had it at the old building. We had a washer and dryer at the old building, which generally was to wash the shop rags and some of that stuff. Or if somebody had an incident at a lift station or something else that they didn't want to take those clothes home and contaminate the rest of their laundry, or again, grease, hydraulic oil, some of that stuff that
Right, well,
get on, they would be able to throw it into that and not contaminate the rest of their, take it home.
I
So,
used to cringe, I'd actually go to laundromat because I wouldn't put them in my machine.
yeah.
And then the mill provided the machines and that took care of that.
I mean, honestly, we should be under budget if we made this change. It would be less overall cost to the village than staying with the contract the way it is.
But we either.
But we have to either stay in a
Yeah,
contract
okay, so I want to make
or
sure.
I'd say offset it. I think even decreasing it, maybe a few years from now, we could look at that. If there's a stipulation of year 1, you get a little more to get yourself fitted and then we start decreasing it. But when we pull the plug and all of a sudden we're at 0, yes, the guys might have 1 or 2 pairs of jeans at home that they already wear. But if we say now you have to pay for your own, there is going to be a shock of going to the store, buying your pants to get outfitted for the year. And if we don't figure out how we're handling that switch off for year 1, I think that's gonna.
So what we're probably, if I'm following correctly, you're thinking that, say, the first year that we do this, we would be at the full 600 and new employees would be 600. But then I mean, if I buy 4 pairs of jeans or whatever, unless I'm really tough on clothes, next year I shouldn't have to buy 4 or 5.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, some of these guys, again, if you're out, patching asphalt every day for,
Right.
throughout the summer, you're gonna wear out your clothes. If you buy, especially if you buy the cheaper stuff, it's gonna fall apart faster than if you buy the more expensive stuff.
Well,
And that's kind of the point where if we do cancel this in August, my proposal was going to be, or maybe it is, up the clothing allowance to 400 so that they get an extra 100 for the remainder of this year. And then I'd say 627. And then if we wanted to look at slightly reducing that moving forward into 28, 29, I guess we can entertain that. But otherwise, this number just stays permanent. So as inflation and everything else keeps going up, this number wouldn't change. It'd be 600, and it might be 600 for the next, 5 years versus
Cintas's contract could go
Cintas's
up
contract, which
every
might be
year.
a 4 or 5% every year.
well, I
Do you
guess,
happen to have any idea like what neighboring municipalities do? I mean, I don't know, I didn't know that off the top of your head, but I thought I'd ask. Because again, like I can only draw on the experience I have, so.
Yeah,
When I started, I was issued 2 pairs of pants. Those are very comfortably $80 a piece. I was issued 2 long sleeve shirts, which are 60 to 75 a piece, and 2 short sleeve shirts. Not boots, not anything. And I was given $600 a year to maintain that, plus every other piece of duty gear, everything that I had to maintain.
$600 you were given?
That was it per year. And that's all I was issued. So, like,
When was
what I
that?
given. That's what's still current today.
Okay.
And so like, I can only draw off that perspective. Like, I'm very much so like, yeah, let's have a transition plan this first year. But I also think if we're talking about morale issues, I don't think we're being honest with the fact that if we just jump to 600 and then say in a year or two we take it down, we're just pushing off the morale issues. Like,
but
there's gonna be a morale issue at some point either way.
I don't know. I think there, at least I can say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. And you guys can build it up. And if we do have the clause that if you ruin your pants at work, you'll get reimbursed for that pair. I think that would help. I think there's ways to
And I'd be all for that. Like,
ease into that where,
do that now even. I mean,
yeah.
Again, because we have the uniform service.
yeah, but I mean.
Because if
we
they
were to
are
get
ruined,
rid of-
we replace them.
Yeah, but if we
Yeah.
were to get rid of Cintas, I mean, I'd be for that right away. I think that just makes sense. As long as it's not done through any negligence of their own, it's just part of their job and.
or what plain wearing out.
Yeah, I mean, if it wears out, it wears out. That's different than like, hey, I went and did this and my pants got ripped and they're $200 pair of pants like that.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if we spill chlorine on a pair of pants, our employee gets a new pair of pants and we pay Cintas for that pair of pants because now they're ruined and they can't be part of their rotation. So we kind of are already paying for it when it happens. It just, we're not reimbursing our employee for it. We're reimbursing a company for it. So.
Okay, any other questions or concerns on this, or what is your thoughts, or,
We would need a motion on the table. We don't have a
Mhm.
motion.
right? Do I have a motion and,
We're making a motion to the board, correct? That you want,
to recommend,
recommend, yeah, okay.
right?
Do you want to take this separately? Do we want to do as like recommendation on the contract and then recommendation on what we want
Yeah.
to do with it, or do you want to do it as all one big motion?
And I realized in the recommended language, I made a mistake. I copied the previous one where the recommendation was to move forward with the Cintas uniform. So I guess it would be more probably I move to recommend not moving forward with a Cintas renewal. And then, if you want to do it as 2 separate ones, that's fine.
Yeah, I think it would,
Just asking.
I think I'd prefer it to be two different motions.
Well, then that's easy. I move to no longer move forward with Cintas.
Motion by Brett, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Steve, on the question?
I guess I do question that because I don't want the board to think that if we cancel the Cintas contract, that there can be no adjustment made to the $300.
No, I think this contract just we're just now dealing with the contract.
The board will get the exact same information we have in front of us.
Yeah.
So they will have the same ability to see what we see and
Okay.
discuss.
And I didn't put this on the board agenda for tonight either because I wasn't sure what this conversation would spark. So if there is more feedback or whatever, I'd take it back. So I guess just having this discussion is good.
I just wanna, I went and looked, Mountain Bay, gets $750 annually. All officers receive a uniform allowance of $750 per year annually to their salary. And I'm just looking to see my prior police department, if you didn't use it, you got to roll it, but I'm not sure if they get to roll it.
They just get a check.
Okay.
That's what Everest Metro, and I think they carried that over to Mountain Bay, no receipts
Really?
needed, you get a check.
So if they don't spend it, they get it in the form
They
of.
got a check.
That's how Everest Metro,
So Everest Metro.
But that's also a contractual thing that we don't necessarily have
that's,
control over, right?
but just as an, I just wanted to, the only other piece is the year I left Rome, which now would be 2 years ago, their public works staff went up to $600 too, so.
With no Cintas contract, nothing.
No
Nope,
Cintas
nothing like
contract. I think they did do Cintas for rags, but they did not for clothing.
Clothing, okay.
Okay, so, we had a motion and a second to discontinue with Syntax. I guess on the question, now this has nothing to do with what you're gonna pay the employees for
Every
uniforms?
second.
I think we're doing them separate, right? Isn't that what we said?
Yeah, I mean, the motion right now is just to not move forward with
Okay, I
Cintas.
wanna just make sure I'm following this.
Yeah, I'm doing
That was my thought too here. Okay, I have a motion and a second on the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? So carried. So that part of it we've got. All right, now, we would need a motion on reimbursement to the employees.
I guess I would make a motion to have staff come back with like comparables from neighboring jurisdictions as to what their Department of Public Works does. Because maybe that perspective really puts this whole debate to bed. It provides us some context of like, this is reasonable, this is not, this is what others are getting. Because yeah, I mean, if we lose somebody from DPW, they're likely going to go to a neighboring jurisdiction. So let's find out what they're all doing and then make a decision based on actually having some of that information versus, anything else. So that would be my motion as we.
I have motion to provide additional information for our next meeting for what other municipalities reimburse.
A second.
Okay, second. By Evan. On the question,
When's the Cintas contract up?
August 31st.
So we don't have a ton of time, but we have a little bit to work with it.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's why I brought it now versus waiting until July and be like, hey, what do you guys think? So,
yeah.
Hopefully by
good
August,
thought.
you'll have a decision made then.
yeah,
Hopefully,
that's the goal.
hopefully next meeting, then we can get it resolved and
We're not
even
gonna
Right.
do it
the
honest,
board
we
looks
know.
at it right after this and it can be done even in March, but I think context is huge, I think. I think that's-
Well, and at least we have an idea then if we can compare to other municipalities, we're not just throwing a number out there.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't want to pay less than our neighbors, because yeah, we might lose people, but I just.
I guess I was just looking at it from a budget standpoint. If it wasn't in the employee handbook and, it was a different line item type thing, right? Like it's not uniforms, it's gas and, parts. We would just be like, oh yeah, we'll just use that. And, the overall public works budget's coming in on budget. So, because it's in the employee handbook and it's specific to those things, it is a little different, but, I do believe we would be coming in under budget, comparable to staying with the contract if we went with that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? So carried. So just bring that and maybe we'll feel more comfortable with what,
Yeah, I mean,
you
pretty easy if we're comparable or not comparable and.
Right.
Up or down or wherever we need to be to.
Right, so moving along here. Discussion and or action on 2026 capital improvement plan update.
So the 26-27 project, or the 26 project plan was adopted last fall as we were going through the budget process, as we have kind of moved into 2026 here. There's a couple things that have come up that we just wanted to make sure were reflected within the current CIP for 26, which are reflected in red. So on the utility side, we have utilities in the village of Rothschild. For those of you who maybe don't know, the village of Rothschild used to be also a good chunk of the town of Weston, or a portion of that was the town of Weston, which was served by the Weston Utility Water and Sewer. When they were annexed as a village in 1994, something like that, 92. The utilities under Weston's jurisdiction still stayed as Weston Utilities, even though it became the village of Rothschild. So Bellwood Avenue and Military Road are two of those streets that still are served by our water and sewer utility. Rothschild let us know they were planning some street projects there on Bellwood. That's an area where we have somewhat frequent water main breaks. That water main's from the 1960s, so it's getting pretty close to its replacement age. Over 60 years old. And if we can save ourselves the cost of having to repave their roads, we'd like to do that and just replace the water main while the road is under repair. And then Military Road is a kind of somewhat similar. There's a larger culvert over by Gasca Park that's getting replaced, and as part of that process, we have a water main in conflict that we need to relocate there. I guess one thing that did pop up on Friday from a project that was in here previously was the Heritage Hills Water Main and Sewer Loop. That was going to be kind of a partnership with Lewis Construction. Lewis Construction let us know on Friday that they're no longer interested in moving forward with that project. So we actually have somewhat of a deduct then on the water and sewer side, because that project, it would not be moving forward here in 26. So we'll be reducing the water side by 250,000 as well as the sewer side by 280,000 in 26.
Is that something in the future they might ask for again, or might
It
explore?
possibly is something they could ask for in the future, and probably something we should still pursue moving forward with, even if they're not wanting to partner with it.
But just not this.
Yeah, that lift station is 20 years old, so we probably still have another 10 years, but before, I think we want to look at looping that as a gravity service lift station sometime in the future versus replacing that lift station in Heritage Hills, which would then also loop the water main and get rid of a dead end back there. So, and then utility vans are in there. One of our vans currently is a 2015, and the other one that we'd be looking to replace is a 2018. Historically, we've replaced those every 7 years. COVID, we got a little behind as vehicles were harder to obtain. So I guess trying to get back into that rotation, replacing those two. And then the safety building, I guess I call it the safety building because that's its name internally. If we want to call it something else, we can. The town of Weston still uses it, so I don't know if we should rename it something else right now, but
Maybe we should have a contest.
we could have a naming contest for it.
Naming rights?
Yeah, and then the police building was approved by the village board last month, so wanted to reflect that in our capital plan as well.
I'm assuming water and sewer have enough money based on our prior conversation to cover all the differences of that.
Yeah, and like I said, with that Shore Heritage Hills project going away, that I'm not saying it evens out, it actually makes sewer a lot better, and water makes those additional projects a lot less of an impact.
Or not in the hole.
Not whole, but yeah.
Is the village actually picking up the cost of the police department building, or is that our portion? Or how is that being?
That's our portion. 4.5 million is our portion.
65%.
That's already. So I'm confused on the public safety building thing. So as our public comment said, the safety building refers only to the safer building because the police department's not using it. But in their request for $10,000, it says move the sergeant office from the second floor to the first floor. And I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have sergeants in the fire department. So is this police, is this fire? What is this $10,000 for?
That's my error. It's what I used was, so it's a leadership staff member.
So it is fire.
Battalion chief, okay.
Battalion chief.
Okay, so it is fire.
That's my error.
No, that's okay. I wasn't confused by it until all the discussion tonight. So then I guess what exactly is the $10,000 for? Removing rooms or removing equipment? Is there more details on that one?
Can you explain it?
Mhm, please.
So basically, it's the battalion chief is gonna move from upstairs to downstairs, and there is currently 2 locker rooms that have no longer been used since the remodeling happened upstairs. And basically, those locker rooms would be made into one open room, which is where our crews would do their reports. That's where the money is being spent. There's a couple walls that kind of come down and stuff.
Okay.
And then the battalion chief's bedroom is gonna be moved from upstairs to downstairs. So it'll be right next to the apparatus bay.
Awesome, thank you. That's all I got.
Anybody else? Okay, because I had, this was brought up when we were talking about police department. Are we doing anything about the mold in the safety building?
I know that was mentioned. We will have it tested. We don't have any evidence to suggest there is mold, but we will have it tested so we know for sure.
Well, I guess I was wondering, I got the impression, and I could be completely off, but that the mold is because when they park their squads in the new heated section of the building with the new exhaust fans and all that, that the floor is quite level. And I don't know if they didn't put drains in there. I don't know.
I also, I mean, when they
That the water went to the walls.
when they test that building, which Chief and I had a conversation and we've organized with a company that will come out and do that testing for us. They did say that that's very difficult in those garage areas because you have access to open air continuously with the doors opening and closing. So, but we will, I don't know if you want to add anything more to that.
Yeah, I think, and I wasn't there for that because it was EMPD at the time. What I was told is that the mold is on the old police department side, there is, the HVAC system is under the floor. And that over years, those ducts have developed cracks, water has leaked into those, and then mold has grown in the HVAC ducts.
Okay.
That's what I was told. I don't know that for a fact.
Okay, well, when I heard that, which, yeah.
Either way, we are having it
Thank you.
tested.
Because I want to say if there's mold, we need to have it.
Either way, we're having it tested.
All right, thank you. Okay, I forgot where I'm at here. Okay, we had discussion on the capital plan for updates. Anything else?
Do we have a motion?
No, we didn't.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Steve,
I'll second.
second by Stefan. On the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I didn't have a check mark there yet, so oh, good. Okay, remarks from staff.
I have one thing so we are right now going through our comprehensive plan, and the first piece of that is the public involvement piece, which involves our survey. So there are some questions on the survey that talk about service level and service satisfaction. We've had that conversation here at this committee. So I have a postcard. If you go through and take the survey, if you can share the postcard with at least one other resident or maybe someone that works here within the village, you don't have to be a resident to fill out the survey. That's really appreciated. We want a 20% return of our voting population, those over 18. So that would be 2,450 surveys by May. So we have a big goal, but I feel confident we can achieve it. And if you complete the survey, or if you tell me you complete the survey tonight, we have stickers. So there's even stickers. Afterwards.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, remarks from committee members. Stephanie?
Nothing.
Okay.
I was just saying something? No.
No? Brett? Steve? Okay. And I have none other than welcome aboard.
Thanks.
And she didn't have stage fright for first meeting. Did I write it there?
I don't be shy.
Okay. Future items, next meeting date would be March 16th at 4:30 PM. I would assume we would have the information on the uniforms, such.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you can think of for next meeting? Okay. Then we will adjourn. I need a motion. Motion by Steve. Second by Stephanie. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 5:51.